someone I've needed so long. For once unafraid, I can go where life leads me. Somehow I know
where the slip covers have been taken off, and we are seeing what is going on. I would like to introduce you to a young lady who has been added to our panel, and Art has been kind enough to say that he can stay with us because he is vitally interested in the subject. Our guest is this young, beautiful woman, is a clinical psychologist in private practice, Dr. Lorraine Chase. June here, yes. I want to, I'm going to bring out our next guest, I think, right away, because we want to make this a round table discussion. So June,
yes,
if you'll move down, darling.
Right now.
Our next guest, thank you, dear, is a young minister who runs a unique church in Los Angeles. I'd like you to meet the founder of this church and hear firsthand from him how and why in his metropolitan community church came into being, and it's going to take a lot of listening and understanding. Will you welcome Reverend Troy Perry? And you know June Lockhart and our patron. First of all, Doctor, the name, Reverend, the name of your church.
Metropolitan Community Church.
Now, in what way is it unique?
It is unique in that it is a first attempt in America to have an outreach by a religious group into the homosexual community of America.
You talk about the homosexual community of America. Is it isolated? Does it live in a certain spot? Is it an age group? Is it a racial group? What is the homosexual community?
No, when we talk about the homosexual community, we're referring to homosexuals all across America. There are some areas and spots where we have gay ghettos, as we call it.
Well, I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Well, we mean like the black areas of Los Angeles.
Gay ghettos.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
And we have homosexuals who live in large areas. And when I talk of the community in Los Angeles, of course, I speak primarily of that community.
May I ask you why this would be of such personal interest to you?
Yes, you may. First of all, I must say first that I'm a homosexual. I had my first sexual experience at the age of 9 with another young man. As I grew older, when I was 15, 16 years old, I had a cousin one day who was talking about somebody in our neighborhood, and he used the 5-letter word to describe this individual. And I asked him what he meant by that. And he told me what this individual did, and I thought, well, my Lord, I do some of those things. And that puts me in the same category. Well, at that point, I started dating, and I had no problems whatsoever. At age 19 in the South, I'm from Tallahassee, Florida, married a young lady. We lived together for 5 years, had 2 children. At age 23, I discovered, not just overnight, but over a period of time, that I was different in some aspects than other people in my congregation. At that time, I was preaching, pastoring a Pentecostal church in Santa Ana, California. I walked into a bookstore one day, and as I picked up a Life magazine, I noticed the Physique magazine over on the side of some males, and I picked it up, looked at it, and at this point in my life, I knew that I was different. I was immediately attracted to these pictures, and I asked this...
What, were they pictures of men?
Yes, that's correct. And I asked the lady in the place, I said, do you have any books at all on homosexuality? And she said, yes, I have a few. And I wrote her out a check for $32 and some few cents. I took them home and read them. 2 of the books helped me to know that I was a homosexual. One was the book, The Homosexual in America by Daniel Webster Corey. The other was One, a book that is published by One Incorporated, which is a homosexual organization in Los Angeles.
Now you say it helped you discover that you were homosexual. Does that mean that you were born different from every other man?
There's a lot of research in this area. I, in my particular incident, feels, yes, that I was created a homosexual to do the work that I'm doing today in the church.
Oh, you feel this is a divine work?
Yes, I do. I don't feel like it's a divine work in the incident that I've heard some voice out of the sky speak to me, but I do know in my prayers and in my relations with God that this work was needed and the Lord called me to do this work.
Reverend Perry, every one of us at one time of our lives have been accosted by someone of the same sex. It happened to me, and I went to my father, and he explained it to me. Do you think if you had gone to one of your parents at that first experience as a child, they would have explained that this is just a phase of development that under control you would have grown up to be a perfectly normal human being.
Well, I feel like I'm a normal human being, and I have grown up to be normal, but I don't think it would have changed anything. I really don't. In that particular incident, I was the aggressor in that situation. The other young man was 15 years old, but I liked this young man.
Well, I'm sure the panel would. Do we have a commercial? All right. We are going to go into a very involved thing on this because we've got a lot of young people watching at home who are going to have this thing very clearly defined, and we will do it when we come back after this announcement. I said to you, I don't feel that it's something you're born with. I think it's something acquired. So, Dr. Chase, since you are a clinical psychologist, is it genetic, which we mean inherited, or is it acquired?
This is something we really don't know, and I think that all the exploration we can do into this area will be, I will be grateful for anyone who does some good, intelligent research into this. We have many misconceptions about this particular mode of behavior. We don't really understand it.
Well, what should people understand about homosexuality?
I don't think that even within my own profession, although we have studied it, we don't truly understand the total picture. I personally believe that there are many things which will create this kind of pattern, behavior pattern.
When I asked you, is it genetic? Is it inherited? What would you say out of so many? Can you give me any statistics? There are statistics I know on this. How many are born homosexuals?
We don't know that.
I think they do know it. I think it's such a small, it's so minute that they can hardly classify it.
But you see, my position is that there are too many things that are not known about it, so that our most important thing is to bring people together who are willing to go into it and understand it. And one of the...
Well, what would you understand? Wouldn't you understand the need for changing it? Do you think it's something that should be considered a normal way of life?
It's highly possible that for some people it may be normal. For them.
Well, how do you decide? Yeah. Now do you, when someone comes to your church...
All right.
Because I say that when a man has the first baby, I'll come to your church.
Well, you know...
But God created man and woman to breed the child, and so God must have had some master plan.
Virginia, then it is abnormal for heterosexuals to marry who can't bear children. We should stop it. If a heterosexual couple who can't have children marry, it's wrong. That's what you're saying.
No, because sometimes they can have it with another mate.
Oh,
I know
you mean
many people.
Then they would divorce each other and have more children.
I'd rather divorce and find someone that I could propagate with.
But you feel like it's wrong then not to have children, anyone not to have children. Is this true?
What? No. Yes, I think it's too bad for them. I don't think it's... But that is not a sin against the law of nature.
Well, it's not against the sin of law of nature to be a homosexual. Animals have homosexual acts with each other. Go to the San Diego Zoo, watch the monkeys
But
sometimes.
you know what God gave us that he didn't give animals? He gave us the intellect and the self-discipline and the sense of values. So
That's
that we
correct,
can be
to be
animals.
happy human beings. And if there are those individuals who happen to be heterosexual, I agree with the doctor, there are those individuals who are very happy in a homosexual relationship. And they would be very unhappy in a heterosexual relationship.
Basically, what I was saying was that we don't thoroughly understand it yet, and that we should not categorize it or condone it or deny it. We have to understand it.
Yeah, but June, you wanted to say something.
I was just going to say, Virginia, I'm just a guest here, but if
No,
you'll
no, you're
forgive
not.
me,
This is his
I don't
session.
think you should moralize about it if you've never been a homosexual. Because you have to...
Are you kidding? You don't think I should moralize about taking dope or moralize about
treat it
shooting
with...
and killing
No,
if
we're
I've
not
never
talking
killed
about
anybody?
dope and killing. We're
I think
talking
we
about
are.
homosexuality.
I think we're killing a civilization.
It has
that
nothing to
have
do with the
certain
other
norms.
two things. Don't get off your subject.
We must say this, though. You have to remember homosexuality throughout history has never risen above from 4 to 10% probably. We have information. We have statistics that will bear this out.
Well, won't a church like yours make it rise more?
No. We're only helping those who are already homosexual. We're not trying to convert people to homosexuality. That's not our reason at all. Our reason is to give a place of worship where homosexuals who feel like they have been denied the right of the church can come and seek God without any
Well,
problem.
now wait. Do you think it's a condition that should be cured?
No, I don't.
Just look at with
Well,
compassion.
I believe that there are some cases, certainly.
I
where-
believe that there are cases, doctor, where there are individuals who are certainly neurotic and who have been conditioned to be neurotic by this society, who cannot come to terms with the homosexual and who doesn't understand his problems. And in society, we have him as being sick, criminal, or the other thing of being sinful with the
Now,
church.
may I explain something? Because you make me sound hard and calloused, and I'm not. I have many homosexual friends, and I have found them to be talented and brilliant and charming. But we've never discussed it any more than they've asked my personal habits.
Ask them.
So I wouldn't ask them. That's their own private business, and I don't think that if they go to church and worship and are quiet people and nobody knows what they do, I can't understand why in a world when we're trying to get rid of segregation, we would segregate a group who is now labeled as a homosexual. Why can't he go and worship wherever he wants?
Well, that's what
churches
he's doing in this
won't permit
particular church.
Well, then
He
let's
is coming
change
to
the
worship.
church.
Well, yes, I agree with you. That's what we're trying to do. But in the meantime, it's like the blacks in the South who couldn't worship in white churches. They had to start their own in order to worship God,
That
and we've
was
done the
a
same thing.
natural color from God. A homosexual, I have to tell you, I cannot help but believe that it is an acquired reaction to something that happened in their life.
Whatever it may be, still homosexuals are denied the worship of God in their churches. And that's the reason Metropolitan Community Church has come into existence, to fill this void.
Where
we
do
don't
you worship
invite
God? Where do you worship God?
in our hearts, together.
That's right. So
But
you
the New
don't need a
Testament,
church.
oh yes, the New Testament says, forsake not the assembling of yourselves together. That's the reason we have churches in America. I'm afraid most major denominations would disagree with you. They would say we do need churches.
I know,
More
but
than
not if
just-
you have a point of view that is something so very personal. Why would you have to brand? Why would a person have to put a label on
Well,
themselves?
we
I am a
don't.
homosexual.
Society does. This is the reason, Virginia. Society makes it criminal for individuals to be
Why,
homosexuals.
I would never know if you didn't tell me. Why
That's
did you
true.
tell me?
Why did I tell you? Because homosexuals suffer in America. There's a discrimination against them.
Exhibitionists.
Oh, no, I'm not
No,
talking just
no.
about
Oh, I think so.
exhibitionists.
I think
No,
so.
I don't think so.
But there could be 25 or 30 in this. Look, everyone's
Oh,
looking
there-
at each other.
there certainly
In
are.
the audience. Yeah, but you couldn't tell by looking at them. Is there anybody in the audience who is a homosexual? All right.
There are some.
Would you
All
discuss
right.
it? All right, fine. Now tell me about, would any one of you want to discuss, is there a microphone there to give them, please? Someone who would, shall explain what the church means to them. Yeah.
I'm not a member of Reverend Perry's congregation. However, he is a good friend of mine, as are most of his parishioners, and I visit his church. I come here because I speak out about homosexuals in general. In your case, Miss Graham, I really think you need to revise some of your thinking. You use the word worst, good, better, bad, worst. You talk about sin. This is not a sin,
No,
my
it's
dear.
a sickness, dear. I
No,
didn't
not
say
at
it's a
all.
sin.
Not at all. Not a sickness. A way of life. Is it sick to perspire? Is it sick to cry? Is it sick to laugh? If so, then those are sicknesses. Homosexuality is a natural state, Miss Graham. I want you to understand that. It's
Has a man ever had a baby?
My dear, nowadays it's no longer the issue. You're talking about 6,000 years of ancient history. Now we're talking about a world that's overpopulated, my dear. We're not talking about begetting more children. We're talking about trying to care for the ones we already have.
Well, this is a new
Please
form
don't
of
wish upon us
ecology.
more babies, my dear. We
right.
have too many now.
All right, now wait, anybody else there who has a position? The young women, the girls, would you want to say something?
I'm a member of Reverend Perry's church, and I have been for almost a year. And it has put something into my life that I have never had before, and that is the feeling that God loves me, and I am one of his children, no matter what I am.
Well, that I think is absolutely true. What is your comment on that? I think it's just an unfortunate thing that you couldn't find that in any church, because I think your private
When I have
life...
to go to church and listen to a preacher preach hellfire and damnation because I'm a homosexual, then I'm not going to be happy there.
Is that what they choose?
That is
Well, then
exactly
they got to
what
get
they
rid of those
preach.
preachers. Yes. What do you want to say, Doctor?
This was one of the points. I'm very happy that you brought that out, because I feel that that if we have a way, an avenue of getting to the more spiritual side of the self, that we will be more able to look accurately at what we are and why we are.
Well, now that I
And
admit.
Since
I agree with that.
the Reverend has had this idea to bring these people together in a spiritual environment, I feel that it's a very healthy step.
Now, what about homosexuals marrying each other? Are any of you girls or boys married to each other? Are any of you married to each other?
Reverend Perry has married myself and my other half. She is not here today. She couldn't get off work.
Oh, she does work. Well, that's the same as in Cincinnati.
Well, we both
Yeah.
work.
You both work. All right. Now, well, in what way would it be in the terms of biblical reference for two of the same sex to marry?
All right, for two of the same sex to marry or to even be together.
Do we have a commercial? Oh, I'm sorry. Please don't go. We'll be right back. We have a commercial announcement. I am not being unsympathetic. I simply say that we have dope centers where people are ill and they go to these centers to be cured. We have cancer clinics where we take out a malignancy to be cured. I think that a service could be rendered for people to be rehabilitated into what I think God intended as a normal way of life.
We do have rehabilitation in our church, and our rehabilitation center is this, that we help the homosexual to become a whole human being, to accept himself for what he is.
You mean so he can go forward from that point on?
That's correct, as a happy homosexual, not as a homosexual who is oppressed with society's feelings. And yet
I'd like to ask you something. Okay. Do you feel that there are some people who get involved in this type of behavior pattern who really are not homosexual?
Yes, I do.
I think
you mean
that's
for a
really,
living?
Yeah, well, no, who simply
another
go
area too,
who
but,
may perhaps go through a phase or perhaps become involved with a person because they're looking for their own identity and go through a period of acting out this particular kind of behavior when in actuality they are not a homosexual. And I will tell you that in my own practice, I spend more time convincing people they are not than that they are.
True. We receive phone calls, too, from individuals who, as you say, are acting out this and are not truly homosexuals.
And there is a
difference. We do have psychologists, psychiatrists, and sociologists who work with these individuals.
Well, could this not then have been the case of that young boy who was working out a feeling he had with you as a child?
It certainly could have been,
It could have been, but I've met him since then, about 3 years ago, and he is a homosexual.
Art, you wanted to say something?
I've been really thinking about the question, and I'm not sure if I've got it down yet, but I think what bothers you most of all, Virginia, and I don't know because I want to ask this to the Reverend about this, but there's a word called closet queen or screaming queen that dresses to show that they're feminine. And I think that's what possibly offends you.
It doesn't even offend me, but I just can't imagine having a church for them.
No, what I'm saying is, though, is that you said to the Reverend that if you didn't tell me you were a homosexual, I wouldn't know.
I can't vouch for my best
So he wouldn't
friend.
bother you, in other words. He would look to you as if he's a man.
It's his own private way of life.
Now, I think based on that, if it was so that, you know, men look like men, whether they're homosexual, or women look like women, whether they were lesbian or what have you, I don't think that offends you. I think what really truly offends you, Virginia, is the fact that they get dressed up like women and they carry on and but
they're segregating themselves.
Let me say this.
I want to know.
There's a very small percentage of homosexuals who dress like females.
Right.
And a very small percentage of female homosexuals who dress like males. These are the individuals, so many people relate to homosexuality.
Right.
This is their stereotype. Like with the black community, the Uncle Tom, yes, for everything that goes on.
Right.
But this isn't true. We don't like to tell people we're a homosexual. There's only one reason we do it, and the reason we have gay liberation front groups in the country today is because society has made it its business to find out who a homosexual is. A homosexual cannot be a policeman, he cannot be a fireman, he cannot be a school teacher. He can't hold security clearance jobs. Automatically the government comes in and they'll ask you a question, are you a homosexual? And if you check that you are, you'll automatically be turned down and lose your job because they say you can be blackmailed. They want to know what you are.
Could I ask you a question, Reverend?
Yes.
If you had a choice, would you rather be a heterosexual?
I would be exactly what I am today. I'm happy.
But you're happy now. But if you could have had the choice, don't you? I mean,
I did have the choice. I've been married. I have 2 sons.
What about your children, may I ask?
Yes. My wife is remarried. I haven't seen my 2 children in 2 years now. They don't know about my homosexuality. They don't know about the church. They're 6 and 5.
Are they ever going to know?
They certainly will.
What do you think their reaction will be?
I don't think it'll make any difference to them. I have so much faith in the young people of today. Our youth of today, as they come up, have no hang-ups whatsoever in this area. I lecture on college campuses. I talk to people, and I have a lot of faith in the human race.
Virginia?
Yes.
Your friends that are homosexuals, what do you feel about them?
I adore them and never discuss it. I've had one friend for 7 years whom I was told, is that way. And any more than I would ask, you know, I love the language. No, but any more than I would expect anybody to ask me what Harry and I do in our private
Why,
life.
Virginia, I've heard you talk about what you and Harry do.
No, what we don't do. Never. Listen, Jean, you never have. You've heard about what we don't do. Not what we do. No, this is, I wouldn't ask my own daughter about her personal sex life. I'm dying to, but I never have. No, now, would anybody, I mean, the fact of the matter is that a society, I don't know why you would have to say it. It's such a very personal thing. In Sparta, in Greece, in Rome, it existed. The answer was that men lived together. These were warring nations, and for years men lived together. So homosexuality was an outgrowth. But why is this discussed?
Well, Virginia,
There's only one reason it's
Virginia,
discussed
are we
today.
a warring nation?
Yes.
There's only one reason that it's discussed today, and here again, it's because of the areas of discrimination. Because individuals say that homosexuals are dirty, I don't like them, I wouldn't want them around any of my people, or
Well,
I wouldn't want
one to marry my daughter.
Well,
They said that
I
about the
wouldn't either.
Jews, too.
I wouldn't either, but...
What?
They said that about the Jews,
But
too.
if you don't...
compare it?
All
I'm
right,
not comparing, I'm
here's
just
the
making a
deal.
statement.
If you don't know homosexuals, how can you know if they're nice people, bad people, or what kind of people? How did you know your friends were homosexuals if you never discussed it?
Well, he got drunk once,
And did what?
and he got effeminate. He was fine until he had a drink.
What about your other friends, though? You said you have lots of gay friends or
They're
homosexual
brilliant,
friends.
they're charming.
But how did you find out they were homosexuals if you didn't ask?
I never asked, they told me.
Okay,
They
why did
told
they
me.
tell you, do you think?
Because they asked me in some way if I could help them.
In what
Because
respect?
they would like to have had children, and they would like to have felt that when they got older, that their mates wouldn't drop them when they're young. You see, the sad thing about a homosexual is that as he gets older, he's not as appealing. When you're married to someone of an opposite sex, and you grow old together, and you build a family, there's more loyalty and more enduring
Virginia,
love.
That's not true.
No, Virginia,
That's not true. Two nights ago, I had dinner. I had
There are a lot
dinner.
of women who are dropped by their heterosexual
That's
mates
right.
because they get old.
And not
Believe me.
only
The
that, but
percentage
you...
is less,
No,
too.
no. You don't know
yeah.
what the percentage is. Here again, because you've only talked to your friends who have talked to you
no,
about
I've
their mates
talked all
dropping them.
over.
The other night, I had a dinner with a couple, my lover and I, who had been together for 39 years. That's pretty good even by
Are we
heterosexual
finished?
statements.
Oh, well, then we have to come back at some time and really go give the audience a chance to ask questions. Please forgive the fact that time went so quickly, and I think we have to have a little food for thought. Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you. Promotional assistance and accommodations provided by...